All right, so here we go. Welcome to Higher Frequency. And we always start off with shots. Here's my guest, Ras Abuna. Ras Abuna. Hold on, wait, we're gonna cheers.
What is ginger shot?
Okay, so thank you for saying yes. I always say this. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for coming. This is a very special episode because of who you are and what you speak about throughout a long time in my life. Actually, you're my teacher. So the fact that I get to bring you on and people can hear from the person I learned from. Thank you, Ras Abuna, for coming. Cheers to you.
Give thanks.
Yes.
Health, strength. That is strong.
So the ginger shots
Whoa.
are from Divine Nectar. So we switched it up this time. Woo.
Pepper.
Yes. All right, let me get some water. So we switched it up this time. Divine Nectar is the ginger shots. We have Roots Organics that has our water. I can barely talk.
Give thanks for Roots Organic because
We need water right after.
What?
Yeah, we definitely had to like bring it down with the water. And then this, also from Roots Organics, it looks like wine. But do you know what it is?
Yeah, I can't tell.
What?
Sorrel.
Sorrel.
So real. So real.
Yes. So real. Why do you say so real? Yeah.
In Jamaica, we call it sorrel. Around Christmas time, everybody brew it. It's a family of the hibiscus plant. Yeah.
So cheers to you.
So we Rasta, we call it so real.
So real. Real
Thanks.
talk.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is good.
Roots Organics. I called him. I was like, it's the Rastaman coming.
Really?
So we got to hook it up. And not just the ginger shots from Divine Nectar, the water. We also have coconuts.
water.
So he was like, should I chop them? And I was like, he knows how to chop them. So after this, you're going to chop these.
Wow, you mean? Yeah, give thanks.
So Ras Abuna, you are amazing. You have taught me so much. You have given me wisdom. You were the first person to say, I need to pick up a microphone. I thought you were crazy when I said it, when you said it. And I was like, no way, there's no way I could talk. I was so shy. I still have the shyness in me, but you told me something that never left me. And you said, it's selfish to be shy. I don't know if you remember that because it's been a long time. But you said it was selfish to be shy and that people are here to hear you speak. People are here to hear you speak and talk the good word and communicate and give that word sound. So it's not about you. Or in my case, it wasn't about me. They were here to listen to me. So why be selfish and be shy? Don't be shy.
True.
So that never left me when you, of course, started introducing platforms like this, because I want to give you the credit. You're the one that said, pick up the microphone many years ago. And I didn't believe you, but here we are. Higher frequency. So I want to go into how I met you too.
Wow. Years ago.
Years ago. Listen, I saw you singing. I saw you singing at an event. And so if you guys don't know, because we're going to break down him being that historian, a world historian, because I used to call him African historian. And he said, no, it's world historian. So we're going to break that down, but I want to give you a little word sound to understand he's bigger than that. And his voice is stronger and bigger than that.
Oh, Fab.
He sings opera, reggae opera. No, reggae opera. What do you call it?
Opera.
Opera. So it's a reggae opera. It's opera and reggae combined. And the first time I heard you, it was packed with people. And I remember everybody, like, because the stage was high. And I remember everybody was like, what is this? Like, we were so fascinated, blown away, laughing though. It was like, it was funny because it's like, how does this voice, who does this? Ras Abuna. So from there, I was like, who's this guy? I got to introduce him to higher frequency. This is
Yes.
when I was doing higher frequency, the events.
Yes.
And we'll talk about how the energy flowed from there.
Performed at higher frequency.
Yes.
Yeah. Long time.
Yes.
Long time.
So I want to get into what fascinated me even more about you, not just your voice, your mind, your wisdom is a genius. I'm going to call you that. You don't have to call yourself a genius, but I'm calling you a genius because of just all the information that is in your head. What labels you as a world historian? Like, why you call yourself a world historian? Because usually you're speaking about Africa, the diaspora, but you can take it to the world. You can talk about Argentina. You can just talk about it. So tell me.
Well, for me, history was very complicated and hard to understand because of the many dates that you had to retain. From high school. It was very complicated. But when I came to the United States and started college, I spent some time in the United States Army. And then I was doing college while I was in the Army, and it was required that I do American History A and American History B. Now, I did so well in both of them. And when I realized that America's history was only approximately 300 years old, I was like, whoa, that was easy and quick, 2 semesters. So I said, well, I need to go bigger on history and start to do some of the researches that I had conducted in high school and relate American history to other history. So when I got to European history, touch back the Greek history, I crave more, and the more I crave, then I said, what about my history? So that took me to African history now, and from there I realized, whoa, this is the history. There's no history without Africa's history. Africa's history is so extensive, so huge that you cannot study anyone's history without tapping into Africa's history. Somewhere or another, you have to go into Africa's history. You cannot speak about Greek history without speaking about Africa's history, because there were no Greeks before the Africans. It was the Africans who gave the Greeks knowledge in everything that they did. So I realized that history is related to history, and in order to know yourself, you had to be aware of the changes that history goes through and what history takes the world through. So learning about civilizations, I got to the point where it was so fascinating that I had to relate it to myself and my history. So it became a world thing. There was no Chinese history without my history. There is no European history, no Asian history. Every ancient history that I touched, it was Black history, African. I don't even love to call myself Black, because saying Black does not identify, the word Black does not identify our rich heritage and culture properly. No one word. If you were to identify, or if you were to use a one word to describe African people, it must have to be Ethiopian. Must have to be. Because if you mention any tribe or any other culture or any civilization, they were conquered. The only one that was never conquered is Ethiopian. So when you say I am an Ethiopian, you're speaking about real anciency. You were never conquered. You have a history that begins with you. When I say it begins with you, you have a history that you write. Ethiopia has its own writing system. They have their own language. Other countries, or many countries use the phonetic language to write their language. Like a lot of countries in Africa, even though their language is African language, but they're using the phonetic alphabet to write their language. Not so with Ethiopia. Ethiopia has its own writing system that is more ancient than anyone else's. So when you use the word Ethiopia to describe us as a people,
Yes.
that tells of a people that were never conquered and are the most ancient people on the face of this earth.
Amazing.
America, that's a word that began yesterday. America began yesterday. That's a yesterday term. And whose language is that anyway? You cannot use America to describe me. Afro-American. No, I'm not Black American. I'm not none of those. Even though those words could be used to describe me, they are not the proper connotation that depicts who I am and my rich history and heritage. So world history, because I'm aware of the many things that took place in the world by date and time and place, and I can say how it affected me. You know, not everything affected me, but I can tell you how I got here. You know, yeah. So
I love how you touched on Ethiopia right away, because I was very mindful to have you on this specific episode, because we release it on September 11th,
Nice.
which I know
Very
is
good.
the Ethiopian New Year.
Yes.
Gotta do it right here.
Yes.
So I know that's the Ethiopian New Year, September 11th. But we as Rastafari, which we're gonna get into the origin of Rastafari as well, we see ourselves as Ethiopian. Why Ethiopia specifically? Why not Gambia? Why can't we call ourselves Tanzania? And why is it specifically Ethiopia? I know you said because we're not conquered, but does it go back ancient times that this land, this entire land, is Ethiopia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When Africa was governed by Ethiopian kings, the saying was that the throne of the Ethiopian kings rules from the river, which is the rise of the Nile River, to the ends of the earth. So wherever the earth ended, or wherever there was a connection to the earth, that's where the throne of the Ethiopian king extended. Now, the entire continent was also called Ethiopia. But even before, let's go before the Noahic period, when the earth was so-called broken into pieces. When it was only one continuous earth, the only significant people back then were people that looked like me and you or everyone here. And the way we describe these people were burnished bronze skinned people. Their skin looked burnished, bronze. And it is because of melanin. And their hair are woolly. Saying black.
Sounds like me.
Saying black is not. Black is a color. And black was applied to us by Spanish people, by the Spaniards. They called Africa Negroland and Africa Negro. Negro mean black in their Latin language. Before they came on the scene, we were way civilized and had great civilization. Axum, Carthage, Kemet. We had great civilization. So who are these Johnny come lately to call us blacks or to call us Negro, call us what they think we should be called in their language? No. That is why. No, the word Ethiopia, you see how close Ethiopia sounds to the word utopian? Utopian means the ultimate. You will hear people say the word Ethiopia were given to us by the Greeks. That also is a lie. Because before there were any Greeks, we had kings in Ethiopia in 1700 BC, 1700 BC and 1800 BC, 100 years apart. There were two kings called Ethiopia. who ruled the realm of Ethiopia. You can find this information in the kings, the list of kings that were furnished by Kadamawi Haile Selassie in 1924. This can be found online if you do your diligent researches. You will find that in 1700 BC, that is before Christ, 1,700 years before Christ, there was a king called Ethiopia. There weren't any Greeks on the scene in 1700 BC. The Greeks came on the scene somewhere in 400 BC, because before there were any Greeks, there were the Persians. The Persians were succeeded by the Greeks, and before they were the Persian, there were the Babylonians. The Babylonians were about 600 BC. So there weren't any Greeks. Now, the first significant Greek that history have is the man who is known as the father of Greek history, Herodotus.
I love that you know every single word, every single name, every single date.
The thing about Herodotus now, Herodotus was born 495 BC. 495 BC, there wasn't any Greece. The land that is now called Greece was a part of what is today Turkey.
Wow.
That is where Greece came from. The Greeks came out of the Turks. That is a very interesting place, because, as you know, if you follow the biblical story, the flood happened, humanity got a restart, and the restart, the ship that Noah built, it docked in Turkey, present-day Turkey, Mount Ararat in Turkey.
Amazing.
So that's where humanity restarted, Noah and his 3 sons. And this area is a very unique place, because Turkey is Europe and it is also Asia. Turkey is Muslim and it is also Christian. Turkey is the home of racism.
Wow.
That's where it began.
Wow.
Turkey is where the persecution of black people, the people who we call black, that's where it began. Turkey is a very interesting place. Very interesting.
Let me ask, so just to bring it back a little bit, back to Ethiopia for a second, because now you're saying that the whole land was Ethiopia. So as I mentioned, that this is the Ethiopian New Year. Yes. So is it safe to say that it's really the African New Year? It's the whole entire African race, which includes us and the diaspora. It's our New Year.
Whether you acknowledge yourself as an Ethiopian or not, you know, the fact remains, the fact doesn't change. Mankind began in Ethiopia. This is where it all began. And as we speak about this Noah period and this ark, this big ship that Noah built. I just found out that the ark that Noah built, the wood that he used, the word that described this wood is gopher, Gopher, gopher wood. And this gopher wood can only be found in one place on this entire globe. Guess where?
Ethiopia?
No. Huh?
Turkey?
No. One more guess, and then I'll tell you if you don't get it. One more.
So wait, say it again.
Gopher.
Gopher,
Gopher, gopher wood. Gopher wood is found only one place on the entire face of this planet.
Where?
The United States.
Oh.
In Florida, between Florida and Georgia. So think about this now. Think about this, because this for me, if it is true, it makes sense. And if it is not true, well, you know, but if it just think about the impact of this. Noah, God tell Noah, go get gopher wood and make the ship. Noah had to go all the way to Georgia to get this wood and bring it back to Ethiopia. Remember now, there wasn't any flood yet. the
So
earth
it's a
was
whole
one
land.
piece.
Yeah.
So he could have easily, not easily, but
Right. But get there.
and it had to take time to
Yeah,
go
of
get this
course.
wood and bring it back before he start. So it had to take, if maybe a couple of hundred, maybe 100 years or so. Maybe
Wow.
100 years just to go get this wood and bring it back and get it to where, okay, it's ready to build now.
Okay, but those biblical times, like you say 100 years, where like 100 years is a lifetime.
Yes.
But in those biblical times, 100 years is like,
Same.
but didn't they age longer? Like, didn't they grow to be 200, 300?
900 years.
Okay.
And it's the same kind
I
of
didn't want to
900 years
exaggerate,
because
but it's 900. Yeah, you're right.
when you go in, the oldest man that lives is Methuselah. That's Noah's granddad. He lived to be 969 years. And guess which year he turned 969? The very year of the flood. Now this Noah,
Oh, so meaning he died in the flood.
of course now,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Understood.
That
Wow.
makes sense. Huh? Because he was approximately 600 years older than Noah. So he was living 365 years or 369 years before Noah came on the scene. And Noah come on the scene building this massive ship and telling this man who has been around 300 years before him, almost 400 years before him, that some flood is gonna come. So, quite likely ridicule Noah to, oh, you won't tell me about flood. Just imagine Nitsu won't tell me about some big flood coming. He must have been an unbeliever.
Right.
But the fact is that the scripture said he lived to be 969 years old. That's the oldest person. Adam, the first man, lived to be 930 years old. So back to this Noah. Methuselah, the oldest man, is his granddad. Noah had to go all the way to Georgia, between Florida and Georgia. That region, to get this wood,
right.
and bring it back to put it on this high mountain, because he had to launch this big massive ship from a high mountain, from the highest mountain, because with such a flood coming in, it's not just rain. It said the depths of the earth was broken up, but they were broken up. So this flood came from the depths of the earth also. So if it pick up this ship with the gust and the waves, it would have slammed it in other mountains. So it had to take it from the highest possible rim, highest mountain. So it is befitting that it was launched from Ethiopia. But the interesting thing is this. The rain began in the 600 year of Noah. So it didn't take Noah 600 years to build and gather everything. All right? It could have taken him, guesswork. We're guessing. I don't have anything concrete. So between 400 and 500 years, it took him to build this massive ship. That's my proposition based upon the scriptures. No, the irony now is this. Noah built this ship, go to the United States, or by whatever means he went there, to retrieve this wood that is only found in this area, bring it back, and use this wood to build a vessel that save humanity, that we could exist today.
Right.
Yet,
no one wanted to go on the boat, the ship, I mean.
No, bigger than that. Look on the implication, today's implication. The people that look like Noah, they were brought to the United States and they were treated the worst. They have been treated the worst.
Till this day.
For 400, over 400 years.
Right.
So the time Noah took to build the ship, that same amount of time, his seed has been treated like the worst thing, the worst treatment humanity has ever offered for over 400, in the very same place that he found the wood that made the vessel. They were brought back by the same kind of vessel to be humiliated. So this warrant a judgment. I'm saying if it is true, it sounds true to me.
So when you say this warrants judgment, okay, because I know if we believe, so we believe in Judgment Day, stuff like that, right? And so I remember you saying not too long ago that Judgment Day isn't for everybody. What we believe that Judgment Day is for the world, people who believe in the scriptures or people who believe in the word of Judgment Day. And Judgment Day, there is going to be a moment where we're all going to be judged. And I remember you said something like, it's not for everybody.
No.
So who are the people that in this time, in this generation, you believe are judged?
All right. I would rather read something from the Bible and before I answer that. But I want to say this whole idea of the last day, Judgment Day, the final judgment, all of this is something that came directly from the Bible.
Right.
And only unless you understand the culture that the Bible is referring to, the Bible is talking to a specific set of people. This is not a world book. This didn't come for a world, to be a world religion like how they have Christianity and all that. No, that was not what it was intended to be. It was for a specific family. It was for one man, a man named Abraham. And that's where this whole idea, idea of a judgment, listen where it came from. It says, after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, Abraham, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abraham said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? And Abraham said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. Now, let me just give a scenario of what's going on. This Abraham, he's over 75 years old at this point, and his wife, Sarah, is barren and has no children and is past the age of seeing her menstrual cycle, so she's not flowering anymore, and Abraham old. God tell Abraham grew up in Mesopotamia. That's over in Asia by between Iraq and Iran, that region, Mesopotamia, also known as Chaldea. God tell him, leave from that region and come to a land that I will show you. This challenge or this offer became known as the promised land. Come to this place that I will show you, and I will give you a land that will belong to you and your seed after. No, this is a man that has no seed and his wife is barren. But he took up the challenge and followed and went to this land. Now, he's in this land and he's asking God now, what are you going to give me, seeing I go childless and I have this Eleazar that was, he's a maid, like a servant. That's who is going to get all my, what I've worked for. I have no seed of my own. So what are you going to give me? And God said to him, I am thy exceeding great reward. So if you remember now, David he came later on in the scripture. King David in Psalms 126 said, the heritage of the Lord is children. Children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So listen what God said to Abraham here. I am thy exceeding great reward. I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. David said, children of the womb is a gift of the Lord and a reward from the Lord. So when God said this to Abraham is asking, how can this be? How can you be my reward? I have no child. I have no children. So that's why he asked him this question. Behold, to me thou hast given no seed. And look, this Eleazar born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thy heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. Not this Eleazar, you going to have children, Abraham. And he brought him forth. This is God now bring Abraham outside. For your viewers, Genesis chapter 15, we're going to verse 5 now. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now towards heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. So bring him outside, tell him, count the stars then. Abraham cannot count the stars.
Too many.
And this man tell Abraham, that's how your seed is going to be. No, Abraham believed that.
Wow.
No, that's why Abraham is known as the father of faith. The three major faiths begin with this man. This man here. So when you talk about the Christian faith, they have to look to Father Abraham. That's where their faith starts. When you talk about Muslim, the Islamic faith, they have to turn to Father Abraham. That's where the Muslim faith begins.
Wow.
And when you talk about Judaism, you have to turn again to Father Abraham. That's where the faith starts. So all of these major faiths, they begin with Father
right
Abraham. And don't forget, Rastafari begins with Father Abraham.
Amazing.
You can't go around Father
Amazing,
Abraham.
because like while you're talking,
Yes.
a song just, my memory just kind of went into a song.
Father
Abraham has many sons, and many sons has Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you.
Aye.
You know that song. So you guys know that song too?
Yes, the one in my
I'm
dance.
listening to him. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, that's the song that we sang as little children. And but then the part that he says, I am one of them, and so are you.
Yes.
So this means
We are all children of Father
Abraham, exactly.
But you have firstborn, secondborn, bastard, and all kind of that. So you have to know where you stand.
So let's just praise the Lord. That was
All right.
the last part.
So you go through the Bible now, and as you approach the Bible from an historical point of view, you start to come across process of elimination.
Right.
Oh, you can't be one. You can't be one. You have the identity because of your culture, what you went through, and I'm gonna touch that right now. So this Abraham, him tell, look to the stars, impossible task. Well, that's how your seed is going to be. And he believed, verse 6, and he believed, that is Abraham, believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. So because he believed without seeing any proof, that made Abraham righteous. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of the land of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. Now, it is important to know which land that is. You'd have to go back in the scriptures, but only if we have time we do that. I can tell you that they are speaking in Ethiopia right as we speak.
Right, I was just going to bring that up.
They're in
so
Ethiopia.
they're speaking in Ethiopia.
Yes, right now. I can show it to you by compass, by map, but only unless we have time.
So, okay, go. Okay, so
you want to see that?
I wanted to say something about that, about how they're speaking about Ethiopia, and to go back to what you were saying, that Ethiopia is the only place that's not conquered or colonized in Africa.
Right.
So do you think that it's spiritually like that? Like, because like France and all of them have come into Africa, they've gotten different parts of Africa, but here's this one part that they've been trying to conquer, but still can't conquer it. I know Italy came for about 5 years.
Yes.
And they came in there and held it for a little bit.
That's where Italy judgment took place. In Geneva.
Okay.
Because the King of Kings at that time, Haile Selassie, left and went and appealed to the world. This was on the 30th of June, 1936, right before the Olympics. Remember when Jesse Owens went to the Olympics and mashed up the Olympics? That time, Hitler was presenting a super race to the world.
Hitler.
Yes, Hitler was presenting a super race. And 1936, we had the Olympics coming up, and Jesse, during this time, 1936, on June 30, His Majesty appeared before the League of Nations to addressed the League of Nations about his country being invaded
By Italy,
fascist Italy.
which was pretty much illegal because they're all in the UN.
Not the UN at that time, the League of Nations.
The
They
League
were
of
all
Nations.
members of the League of Nations, and the stipulation, how you become a part of the League of Nations is you have to be a Christian country. And what make us brothers in the League of Nations, I got your back, you collective security, I got your back, you got my back. And if you as a smaller country get invaded by a larger member, then we're gonna come to your aid. We're not gonna make any inequality happen amongst us. And if any of our members, our brothers, get attacked by an outsider, we are all going
coming in together.
to their aid.
But then,
Ethiopia now, they had to let Ethiopia in. Ethiopia, as a matter of fact, as we speak, this year, 1924, 100 years this year since Ethiopia got admitted as a member of the League of Nations.
Oh,
100 years this year. So,
Wow.
so 12 years after they got admitted, in 1936, Italy invaded. So you can see that His Majesty, he knew way ahead what he was doing, because
Right.
if he didn't get Ethiopia to be a member of the League of Nations, black people would have just got exterminated by Italy with their massive weapons of mass destruction and just wipe out Africa, take over Africa. 1935, the state of black people was at its lowest. The state of African people, the state of Ethiopian people was at its lowest. This was our last bastion of hope. 1935, when Italy invaded October. So when His Majesty appeared at the League of Nations, this brought world attention to what was going on. And that is how we eventually won the war, with Marcus Garvey amassing the people here in the United States and getting black people in America to be conscious of what was going on. And it ended up being a World War II. That was the beginning
I was
of
just
World
going
War
to say,
II.
this is when World War II happened.
Yes, it culminated into World War, big World War. Yeah. But
but I just want to just get into you real quick, because the fact that you know all of this and you are Rastafarian, and how usually people will see you as a Rastafarian and don't understand the correlation between you holding the Bible and you knowing the Bible and being Rastafarian. So speak about you being able to know this so much, you being Rastafari, and how does it connect? How does the Bible connect to Rastafari?
All right. For me, reading the Bible is a little different, because I have a skill that I apply to reading the Bible, and that is one that I got developed during my time in the service. I'm expert at map reading. And when I say map reading, I'm not speaking of a road map. I read map with contour lines. Contour lines are lines on the map that join places of equal distance, equal height above sea level. So when I read map with contour lines, the contour lines are not always uniform. So this ununiform appearance tell me things about the land that as an untrained eye would not pick up. There are seven features that you use to describe the land. As you know, a map is a representation of a piece of land, or as in the globe, it could be the entire globe, or just a part or a piece of the earth. And it is drawn to a scale. So my experience in the military, it gave me massive knowledge when it came to reading maps, both in the classroom and on the ground, doing it with the compass and applying map reading skills physically. So when I come to reading the Bible now, it it was hard at first, but once I got to a place that I knew, then my map reading skills started
Right.
kicking. And when I hear east, west, north, south, the antennas just went up, and I knew where I was. I could circumnavigate myself with the words. I didn't need a map anymore. And my place of beginning is Egypt. There's Egypt. Egypt is spoken of so much that once I know Egypt. Egypt is North Africa, Northeast Africa. So once you have that as a point of reference,
Right.
then all the other unknown areas now, you can find them by description. So, for example, from Egypt, north of Egypt is the Great Sea, which is also known as the Mediterranean Sea. To the west of Egypt is Libya. To the east of Egypt is the place we presently call Jordan. This area we call Israel. That was not there in biblical time. I mean, the land was always there, but that's not biblical Israel. Biblical Israel is a part of Africa, internal part of Africa. That area that we call Palestine, that used to be a part of Egypt. That used to be a part of Egypt before they cut what is known as the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal cut that off, and then after the World War II, they brought these people from Europe and placed them there as invaders, so-called Jews. But they are not the real Jews. The real Jews look like me.
Right.
And that is what I'm going over
That's what it says in there.
in Abraham books here. So if you don't understand how migration, colonization, invasion, if you don't understand how these things affect history, then you're likely to be called anything by an invader, and you just accept it.
Right. Right.
Slavery, that Atlantic slave trade, when they brought us from our ancestral homeland, to this day, we still haven't grasped what this action has done to us.
Wow.
But it left a lot of us totally lost and calling ourselves names that were given to us by our enemies. And then when we try to know truth, we still depend on their language and their lies. So only unless you come out of English language and go somewhere like Ethiopia now and learn the Ethiopian language and compare it to this Bible, because that is what I do now. I compare the Ethiopian Bible. So let's say I see a country, Egypt, for example. When I see Egypt in this Bible and I go and I look in the Amharic Bible, it does not say Egypt. The name for Egypt at that time, in those ancient days, is Gops. Gops, that's where the word Coptic come from.
Wow. So you're reading this Bible, and you're reading the Bible and you're learning more about yourself. You're learning more about history.
Exactly.
Not only that, you can navigate the Bible because you know map reading and you know what north, south, east, west, all of it is. So when you're reading and it says up and out or to, south or north, when you're reading it, so then you go through it.
No, I have to come to this. This. Genesis chapter 13. I'm coming back to 15 now. I have something to point out in 15 that is very important, but I have to come to 13 because of what you just said. No, just the first verse of chapter 13 is very, very, very important. Listen what it said. And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he, his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. For me and my experience in geography, that's a big key for me.
Right.
That just got me so excited because
he says up and out. So where is that going to?
You're leaving the borders of Egypt totally, and you're going south and you're going up, there's only one place you can be going. There was no Sudan at that time.
So you're going southwest?
No, you're going south.
Okay, south, but up and south. Okay,
up
okay.
And south.
Okay, okay.
There's only one. So you have to be following the course of the River Nile, because the River Nile runs from south to north.
Right.
It runs from highland in Ethiopia down to the north in Egypt, through Egypt, and ends up in the north, which is the Mediterranean Ocean, the Great Sea.
Wow.
So it starts in the highland in Ethiopia up in the south and comes down. So if you're leaving Egypt going into the south, up into the south, you're going deeper into Africa, but you're going in the highlands, in the mountains of Ethiopia.
Wow.
At this time when Abraham is doing this, there is no Sudan. These are colonial names. So he's in Ethiopia. No, so at the time when God tell him, look to the stars, this is happening in Ethiopia. So when God tell him, well, just like how you cannot count the stars, well, it's serious, so no one will be able to count your seed, and I will give them this land. So right away that tell you what race Abraham is. Him cannot be Chinese. Why? Because today if you go south, up out of Egypt, and look at the people that inhabit this area, they are not Chinese. They have to, and those have to be Abraham's seed, which God tell him they would be like the sand,
like the stars,
like the stars of the heavens. So if you go and you look at the population of this place, then this must be what Abraham looked like.
Right,
and when you go there, they look like us. The ranges of complexion that are in this room.
Right.
So that only leads you to not assume, but you must conclude that Abraham looked like
us.
Of course.
I felt that. I always knew that. So hold on.
There's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
No doubt.
So, okay.
So when you hear going up into the south, this give you direction, and it give you place. Give you place. You know where you're coming from. You're leaving Egypt, so you know where you're going. You're going to Ethiopia. And when it starts to tell you now, it tell you the places that you're going to encounter on the way. Tell you Bethel. It tell you about Bethel. It tell you about Hai. So you know, okay, between Ethiopia and Egypt, there are these places. So every time you read and come back to these places, when you hear Bethel, then you know, okay, this in this region. You will always remember.
That's, yeah.
Yes, yes. And once you start to remember what's there, then
you're triggering so much in my mind, because like they teach us this, they don't teach us, they kind of tell us just to read scriptures, but like now that you're saying it, I'm like, I remember that scripture and I remember this story and
like
these stories.
Practical application.
Yeah.
You have to practically apply it, like how I apply it with the English, with the map reading, and then you have to go now and study world history. You have to study history to verify, did this happen, or when this happened, or yes. And one other great subject of study, area of study, etymology. Etymology. You cannot go through earth and not study etymology, the origin of words.
So etymology is the origin of words.
Yes.
I'm trying to say like your accent.
And language.
The origin of words and language.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
I make a give you one.
Because earlier you said phonetic, which it brought me to a childhood memory of phonics.
Yes.
And phonics had to do with reading and stuff like that. We had to take the phonics class.
Phonics.
So that derived from phonetics, of course, right?
Yes. All the languages that are spoken in Europe are called phonetic language. And all the phonetic language came from Greece. How did it get to Greece? Because the Greeks were taught by the Phoenicians. Who were the Phoenicians? The Phoenicians came from Africa. The Phoenicians are African people. All right? How you know this? There's a country called Punt. People call it, well, when you look in Roman history, Rome fought 3 wars. 3 wars called the Punic Wars, and they lasted over a 100-year period. Rome fought a country named Carthage. This is present-day Libya, Tunis, North Africa, but west of Egypt. West of Egypt. North Africa, west of Egypt. Tunis, the country that's called Tunisia, present-day Tunisia, and parts of Libya. Rome conquered this place over 3 wars. You ever hear about Hannibal the Great? Hannibal the Great.
I always have to say it without your accent. Hannibal.
Rome fought against this African civilization 3 times. An African civilization called Carthage. And we're going to go through some etymology. Carthage. The word cartology is the study of maps. So guess who were the Carthaginians?
They were the
master navigators of
map
the
readers.
seas,
Wow.
and
of
the builders
seas.
of map.
Wow.
The Carthaginians, they were great, and you what make them such great shipbuilders? They could build a ship and disassemble them, carry the pieces on camels and elephants, get to the water, assemble them, sail, get to their destination, take them apart. So they were master navigators, Carthaginians. Look,
You
just
learned
like
all of this by reading the Bible?
No.
Oh yeah, because I know because they're in there.
The Carthaginians would not be in here.
Oh, okay.
And the Phoenicians, but unless
But I've heard you say where are they?
Carthage?
Were they up in Spain?
Yes. Yes.
I remember
Yes,
you
yes.
talking about them. Okay, so
Hannibal.
because that was
the
around
3 wars.
7-11. I remember you saying stuff like that.
All
Okay.
right. Here now, 2 different times. You have who were called the Moors.
Okay.
The Moors went to
That's what it
Spain
was.
in
Carthage.
711, but Spain was founded by the Carthaginians.
That's the story I know. Okay.
So Carthage and Rome fought 3 wars called the Punic Wars. That's called Punic. Them call them Punic. The people, the Phoenix Punic, because they decorated their ships with a bird, a phoenix bird.
Wow.
The Carthaginians. So they call them Phoenix people, Punic. So Punic, the word Punic and the word Phoenix is interchangeably referring to the Phoenicians or the Carthaginians. That's their real name. And like I said, the word Carthage, the Ethiopian Amharic word for map is Karta, K-A-R-T-A, Karta.
Wow.
Karta. And like I said before, the word cartology is the studying of map and the making of map. Cartography and cartology. So you can see the relationship between them, those words, and Carthage.
Right.
All right. So the three wars that Rome fought was between 300 BC and 200 BC. 100 years worth of war. The first war, the Romans sacked Carthage, mash up Carthage, and put a levy on Carthage. You have to pay. So now Carthage have to pay. Soon as they were close to paying off, like the debt that France put on Haiti, soon as, and they took away a lot of the Mediterranean islands that Carthage owned. This is what bring Rome on the scene, they were political thieves.
So much history.
So when they robbed Carthage, this give them a power base now to have an economy, because they saw that this was what the Greeks did.
Right.
The Greeks, Alexander of Macedonia, they went and they did the same thing to Egypt. 333 BC, it over for Egypt. Greeks invaded, and Egypt is desecrated, mash up. So now the Greeks are a powerhouse now, because they seize all of the trade routes that Egypt once had. So 300 years before Christ. This is Greece. The Greeks are on the scene now. The Romans see this. And that is how the Roman realized, okay, so you got Egypt, let's go get Carthage. And they went and got Carthage. So 200 years before Christ, Carthage, that is two great civilization, gone, becomes obsolete now, mash up, white people take them over. Remember they did this, this is in Africa, but outside of Africa the same thing was happening. It happening with the Persian. In Persia there were three great kings, three great black kings. I want to say burnish brass, melanin, woolly hair. Cyrus the Great, the founder of Iran, founder of the Persian Empire. His son followed him, Darius, and after Darius, Artaxerxes. So all three of them, that is what constitutes a monarchy. If you have father, son, and grandson, that's a monarchy. If you have it in succession like that.
You talking about kings right now, this just popped up of overstanding who His Imperial Majesty is, right when you said kings, because I thought you were going to say him. But now that you even mentioned kings, I want to bring that up because I want to, first of all, family, this history is so rich. There's so much. So as you notice, like once you start on one thing or one story, it goes to the next, to the next. And so I want to just really bring it back because I was fascinated to know that you reading the Bible turned you Rastafari.
Yes.
And in this Bible, you mention, or the Bible, it's mentioned about the king, His Imperial Majesty, and how he became that and how you saw him as king or him as the
creator.
Yes. But you reading the Bible made you become Rastafari.
Yes.
And I was so fascinated the first time I heard that. So that's why I want to really bring it to that part, because you're saying this entire story and the fact that you know this so strong. And as you continue to go deeper into the Bible, as you continue to read and you read these stories, and at what point were you like, hold on, wait, this is the religion that I want to follow?
Well, Fab, the wickedest thing that happened to my people, I cannot overemphasize, is slavery. So if you're not, forget that it happened to my people. That is the wickedest thing happened in humanity. Whether you're African, Chinese, or whatever, you must admit that is the wickedest thing.
Yes.
You took a people from their homeland, you desecrate their religion, you rape them.
Yeah.
The most inhumane atrocities, the wickedest thing. So in order for me to be a part of anything, that had to be addressed. And that's why I'm going to bring you back to Genesis chapter 15, the same thing with Abraham. Because we started off talking about the judgment.
Right.
And like you said, I said the judgment is not for everyone. This seals that, and then we're going something else. So remember now, Abraham, and God tell Abraham, I am thy exceeding great joy and your reward. Abraham want to know, how can this be? And I don't have no children. God carry him outside. Genesis chapter 15, carry him outside and count the stars. He said, I can't. Impossible task. He said, well, see him here. No one now can count your seed. After this, God, him still want proof. Abraham want proof. So here's the proof. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of the land of Ur of the Chaldees, verse 7, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I will inherit it? This is Abraham asking, whereby shall I know? Oh, give me some proof. And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham. And lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. Catch wagwan. Him bring him sacrifice them. A goat, sheep, a she-goat, a she-goat, a heifer, and a ram. All right? Now, you think he's going to divide the goat, the sheep, and the ram, right? Now, you think this table would be wide enough to hold them? This small table here. He's going to open them up, the scroll says, one against the other, and line them up. Now, the reason why I ask you this, because considering his age and what he's doing, because it tell you now, when he lay out his sacrifice, the fowls start to come. That are the scavenger birds coming down on his sacrifice. So what am I going to do? You have to fight them. You must go on the table and I fight them. This old man, I fight these birds all day because they are not leaving till they get these dead flesh. So he's fighting. And by the night, no, the bird is off. But him tired. Old man, you know, tired. So him lay down after fighting all day and a deep sleep come upon him. So, yeah, you know, just to put what's going on in perspective. While he's there sleeping, when the sun was going down, a deep sleep, 12, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, listen now, this is the part where this is chapter 15 of Genesis, verse 13. This is the most important. No, this is God talking to Abraham.
Then after you have to answer the question. Sorry, we're going to have to cut for a little bit.
No, let me just read this and then.
And then you have to answer my question.
Yes, of course. Of course. This.
Sorry.
No of a surety. You hear what it stand? You gonna cut?
No, go. Because we want to talk about you becoming Rasta.
Yes,
Go,
this is it.
Go ahead,
No of a surety. This is God talking to Abraham. No of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterward shall they come out with great substance. That Genesis chapter 15, verse 12. That's verse 13 and 14. For me, the whole entire Bible is in this right there.
Mm-hmm. Just those verses.
Just that. That's the entire Bible right there.
Okay.
Everything else is incumbent upon what was just said right there. Know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall be afflicted 400 years. Afterward, that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. Clear. You don't have to wonder who is he talking about, who will be judged, and who will be afflicted. No question about it. This is clear. Everything else you read about the Bible now it either strengthens this or it backs this up, and it's more stories about this. That is all about what the judgment is right there.
Right.
The nation that do this to God people, he is going to come and judge. So whoever went into slavery for 400 years, those are the victims.
So whoever went into?
Yes. The people that went into slavery and got afflicted for 400 years, they are the victim.
Were the victims, yes.
They are not going to be judged.
Okay, that's what
Those
we're
are
talking
not the
about.
ones that are going to be judged, because it tells you in verse 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
So we're safe.
No.
We're not the ones that are being judged.
You still have to live up, you know.
I know we still have to live up
because
to the righteousness, of course, but nevertheless,
the righteousness of Abraham.
Right.
Because here what now? When I used to hear people say African sold sold us into slavery. I used to say, oh, how was that possible? Well, when I went to Africa, and I was in Gambia couple of years ago, 2 years ago. I was there and this elder tell me, yes, there was selling going on. And you don't realize that you have some wicked ones around here in the West with you. Because after they sold, after they did the selling, then the enslavers turned and got them also. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to sell you, Fab, and then I'm safe. After I sell you, this man gonna come and get me and carry me and my family into slavery also. That's what they did. There was no one that was safe. There were a lot of African people already here in the United States on these territories before slavery started. But what do you think happened to them? Very astute and living good and administering on this same North American continent. What do you think happened to them? They all went into slavery. They all went to slavery. You think this man respected them and said, oh, y'all were here. Y'all have been here a very long time and have established great things over here. You built pyramids, you have roads and government, and it's going good. You think they left them? No.
How did you turn Rastafari? You have all this information about the Bible. Usually the Christian knows it. Usually, the Catholic knows the Bible. But here, you as a Rastaman, you know the Bible in and out. How did you get to that in your life?
It's from studying, Fab. From studying. Just non-stop studying. I never stop studying. And then I have a daughter now that asks some question. If I don't have the answer for her,
but what in there pointed you to Rastafari?
It was more Abridging, Abba Yahuda. Mm-hmm. Abba Yahuda was so bold with his declaration that Haile Selassie is the Almighty, and he could prove it from the Bible.
Yes.
So I say, okay, show me. No, Abba Yahuda never show me where in the Bible it says Haile Selassie is the Almighty. But he showed me something that caught my attention. He showed me Psalms 87. Psalms 87 says, his foundation is in the holy mountains. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things are spoken of thee, Selah. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. This man was born there. And of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her, and the highest himself shall establish her. The Lord shall count when he writeth up the people, that this man was born there. As well the players as the singers of instruments shall be there. All my springs are in thee. I kept reading this over and over and over. I wanted to make sure that whatever this writer that wrote this intent, whatever the message that he intend for me to get from there. I don't want to believe anything.
Right.
I wanted
you
to
want to know.
Yes. So if this writer is saying the sky is green, I want to make sure that is what you're saying. I don't want to contend and say, no, it's not green. I want to make sure that this is what you're saying.
Right.
And when I make sure that I understood Psalms 87 from the top to the very bottom, that is saying Haile Selassie is the Almighty, is the Creator. Wow. Psalms 87 is saying that. So for me now, when I said, you know what, there's no book that you could get the fullness of that book by starting from the middle. You know what? I'm going home, I'm going to get me my own Bible and I'm going to start studying. One day I'm going to show you that Bible. I went and I studied from the front to the back, and it was a wrap after that, Yeah. It was a wrap after that. And then I start studying about Ethiopia, and then it was important for me now that when I read Psalms 87 and realized that this is what it's saying, I wanted to learn the Ethiopian. So I met this Ethiopian, and I was telling her where in her Bible she should go. So I tell her, go to Psalms 87. She go to Psalms 87. And she read, What
language is that?
That is Amharic. And that's what it says in Amharic. So at that time I didn't know Amharic. So I'm asking,
Wow.
so what I say, better say that could,
Say it.
it say his foundation is in the holy mountain.
But say it in Amharic.
Meseretochu, bete sekedu, Teraroch means a mountain. Teraroch, Nacho, his foundation is in the holy mountains. So when I heard her saying, I would stop her. I said, okay, what is he saying? And she's saying, oh, it is saying he lives in mountains. I said, go on, keep going, because basically that's what mine is saying. So the more she read and I ask her what is it, the more I realize, yeah, it is saying the same thing and even more. So I realize, you know what, I need to learn this language. So I applied myself now to learning the language, that I didn't have to rely on what the English alone is saying. So my English is always comparing what the Amharic have to say versus what the English say, because I don't rely on the English words and the English places. For example, if you rely on English words, for example, for places, you're gonna get thrown off. You will read of a place in the Bible called Hamath. You will never find that on no map. Hamath. Can't find this Hamath. But if you look in the Amharic Bible now for Hamath, guess what Hamath is? Kemet. You got it? Kemet. Because Ham, there was no Ham. His name is Kam.
Okay.
Yes. Kam. Sim, Kam, Yafet.
So from what I know about this, because, I trod the same Rastafari. So what I know is that the lineage brought you to His Imperial Majesty. If you go down the lineage starting from Abraham, because Abraham bred all of us, and then you go up and up and up, and it leads you. Say it. It's David, and then
Solomon.
Yes.
You must come to His Majesty.
Yes.
Yeah, but
I was fascinated by that, and that's why I chose to trod Rastafari, because I was looking for something that sit with me, that I can really connect to.
Of course.
And so, I know they talk about Jesus. Most people believe in Jesus, but we know that the image isn't really
a white
it's
image.
not
It's
the
a black,
image, right? But then also I realized that us knowing what Christ's return looks like in our generation is very important, so we can relate to it. Now, of course, we're too young to remember, but my grandmother and my mother remembers His Imperial Majesty because he visited Haiti.
Yes.
And to hear their stories of when he came was very, very deep, and the way everybody was just in, like, literally came in.
We were doing a documentary.
We were so funny.
We went to Haiti.
So we went to Haiti. And we were trying to do a documentary. Well, we're interviewing people who remember the visit to Haiti.
I remember we spoke to one lady. She was in her 60s.
Yes.
She gave us
the reason why we did that was because Haiti's visit is the least documented visit that His Imperial Majesty did. It was the least documented, and it was the shortest. Correct?
Yes.
And so, that led me into studying even more. And just, now even in my writings, because I do a lot of writings about, history, but not just history, about our spirit and, certain things. And I always add quotes to His Imperial Majesty. Whatever I'm writing about, there's always something that connects with him. And so studying, and I studied a lot of different religions, it took me to Rastafari. I met you. You went even deeper into it because, people call themselves Rasta all the time. They eat Ital food, which we could tap into what Ital really is. They call it vegan now.
Yes.
But,
abstaining from everything flesh, every fleshly product.
Say it.
You don't have to. Ital is abstaining from everything fleshly. You don't have to eat flesh, consume flesh. You don't have to kill animal for you to survive.
Right.
That shouldn't have to be so. The great Almighty that make you above all other living things would not make you and put you in such a supreme standing, and you have to eat other creatures to survive.
Right.
No, impossible. So,
But ultimately, right? Ultimately, like there was a moment where survival came in the cold. And didn't they at that point have to eat that? Not us. Not us. Yeah.
No, at one point, if Caucasian did not eat themselves, if they did not turn to cannibalism, they would have died. They had to eat each other to survive the harsh cold in Europe. So this eating
That
of
culture
flesh, that culture came from them. It was induced on us.
Right.
You see, once they became the masters of us through the Atlantic slave trade, a lot of the things that we started doing, a lot of the cultures that we assumed, a lot of the names that we were being called, the derogatory names, we just went to the lowest level in our eating, in everything, in everything. So we are making a resurgence now. It's a resurrecting taking place. You can look in our children and look at the children all over the world. But we still have a big problem because psychologists describe a behavior called cognitive dissonance. If you listen to rap music, how a lot of these rappers speak of our women, they speak of them in a derogatory way. Yeah, they don't, even when you're trying to instill in them that they are queens, they should be called queens, they should be addressed with royal titles. We should see higher qualities in each other. When you listen to some rap music, it does not do this.
Right.
You understand? It have this negative, and people they're grasping towards this negativism. You hear about youth gun down each other all the while. So you see, some of our music, Hollywood, it's not about building us and resurrecting us. It's about keeping us where we are down. So even some of our own people, they are on the enemy side. So it's not so much a black and white thing, me versus you thing. It's good versus evil. So if you're not standing on the side of good and decide that, hey, I want my race, I want my people to rebound and be the best that they can be for the next 100, 200, 300 years, then you're not serving no good. You're not serving the race no good.
So what genre of music do you feel like should be the genre of music that
Nyabingi music.
Nyabingi music,
yes, that's the religious music that we play in the Rasta house, because when you look at the party music, they're not doing it. They're not teaching people. The party music are not teaching our people anything. Listen, soca, reggae.
Roots reggae, though reggae, that's good because reggae really enhances consciousness.
Some of it, but you cannot have some reggae bad and some good. You can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have, but you see, Nyabingi music now, that churchical music, hear no chance talking about baby, I love you and all them things. Or I want to shot this man. It's strictly praises to Kadamawi Haile Selassie and the observation of Africa and our culture, ancient culture.
So how does Nyabingi sound? How does that music sound?
Just like how your heart
beat, the drum.
Just like how your heart beat.
Yes.
Ethiopia, the land of our father.
Yes, I love that part.
Yeah, that's the beat,
Amazing.
Solemn.
Amazing.
And steady. Just like how the heart beat. Yeah.
Wow, Rasta, let me tell you, you gave us Bible study. I wasn't even expecting Bible study, but you gave us Bible study for real. And this is somebody that I have learned so much from. You are somebody, I just want to talk to you. You are somebody that I learned so much from the Bible, from history, of course, and just, you know, this generation, what we should look up to, even current events, and how we should pay attention to the current events.
Yes,
and,
yes.
you know, what's happening in the world right now and how we should navigate in the world because of everything that's happening. So you taught me this. I cherish your wisdom so much. You are a genius and family. This is why.
About it with you now, you take information and you use it. You know, you other than that, the fact that you're trying to disseminate it to the
Yes.
public and your peers and trying to let them adopt something that they can use, you apply it. You apply the knowledge, you know. So
Yes.
higher frequency for you is not just a name and look some fame and you want it on YouTube. No, you disseminate proper information and your goal. You are one of them enough where you're trying to enhance this race. You're trying to uplift this race.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best in your
Thanks.
endeavors. And some have given up, you know, because sometimes it look hopeless for our race. Some have given up and concentrate more on themselves. But I just introduced you to a very dominant and key figure in the Pan-Africanism, Dr. Arikana Chihombori. And I know you're gonna, one day you're not gonna meet.
I would
you
love
remind
to.
me so much of her and
Wow.
the kind
That's
of things.
honor.
The kind of things that you stand for, you know? So
Yeah, she
I know
speaks a
you're gonna
lot.
meet her.
She speaks strong about what's happening in the culture. There is actually an interview that I saw, and the interviewer was asking her, well, how do you separate like percentage of who's at fault in Africa? And she was like, the mind.
Yes.
The mind, like the minds of the people is at fault. Well, the interviewer again came and said, okay, I'm hearing you. Kind of like me saying, just tell them how you got you became Rastafari. The interview was like, I hear you, but just give me the answer. What's the percentage of, you know, who's to blame, even though she was saying a lot of it was France. But once again, she was like, I'm going to keep that same answer. It's the mind. And, you know, the people, their consciousness is something that needs to be elevated in order for them to come together and uprise everything that's happening and just be back into the Sankofa.
Yes, well, a great
all.
movement is happening in Africa right now, and I'm not sure if you're aware. Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso just got he overthrew the former president and is on a rebuilding of Burkina Faso.
Right.
Niger overthrew and kicked out the French. So Africa is on a rise.
It is.
And
Julius Malema, I love him.
He's
from South Africa.
South Africa. And then there's Professor PLO Lumumba from Kenya. And there's
And we can't forget
going on
Baina
in-
Bello and all these other people, because with you, it was a little different. Like all my other guests, I had to study them. With you, I had to study history and study these people. So know what to talk about in regards, because it wasn't necessarily studying you, but overstanding you because of overstanding history and its culture. And you brought it even deeper, because I wanted you to talk about world history. You brought it ancient, which is very important for people to know in these times. We're not hearing about the Bible anymore. So the fact that you even brought your Moscow, this family, you could hold yours, because I brought mine too. And this right here, earlier you asked me where I got it from, this photo right here. So a Rasta man made this photo, made this art. And if you look closer, the leaves are ganja leaves. And this was on it. I think, right here, like that. And it came off.
Okay.
And so I held on to it. And this family is Tell them what this is.
That's a
you could...
mascal. And what the difference between a mascal and a cross? As you can see, there's no man on it. These are straight up Ethiopian, handmade mascals.
And mascal is, why do they call it a mascal?
It represents the Christian faith, and some of these are used as processional, but they are used by priests.
Oh, but okay, since you're saying priest, yes.
You ever get a blessing with a mascal?
I have by our daughter.
You'll get the next one too.
Give thanks. So if you didn't know Ras Abuna, Abuna means priest in Ethiopian language.
Yes.
Because I know there's Gi'ez and there's Amharic.
Well, Gi'ez is the oldest language spoken on the face of this earth, and it is the parent language to Amarinya and Tigarinya. I study Amharic, and my Bible is in Amharic, not this one, the one that I have at home that I use on a steady basis is in Amharic. So I engage in studying the Amharic language.
Right. So you decided to title yourself Abuna because you see yourself, which I completely see you as a priest.
I don't title myself.
Okay, tell me.
In this community that I reside, there are responsibilities, and I am capable of
the priest
executing those responsibilities, and I function in some of those categories. For example, during the COVID time and just recently, there have been many deaths in our community. So I officiate at funerals, I do weddings, I do christenings. So these are responsibilities that are required to be executed in our community, and being a person that I'm capable of doing those work, so I work in.
And listen, you work on that note. You do a great job. You do a great job.
By name,
right? You are actually taking it on.
I function in that capacity.
You definitely do. You walk around with your Bible. I know some people call you Christian, Rasta.
I don't mind.
But so on that note, you deserve to be gifted, Rasta. You deserve it.
I get gifted.
And so I know you do. I know you get gifts all the time. You are so blessed.
So great.
I know
and I give
you are.
Kadamawi Haile Selassie. I have great children. I have great grandchildren.
I love that.
Great friends, and I'm just so thankful. Well,
you'll be even more thankful for the sponsors that I have, and I'm just gonna tell you the first one because it's just telling you. Aya Spa. She does massage therapy. So all you have to do is set your appointment, and you're gonna get some a massage. Yeah, you need one, Rasta. You need one. You need one. So you're gonna get a massage from Aya Spa.
Yeah.
I have also Roots Organics gave you a lot more stuff. I didn't look in it, but I know he told me that there's roots drinks in there and some stuff. You can kind of check it out if you want.
Back next month.
You are so funny. This right, sir, I'm like going in your back because I wanted to know what. So he gave you like powder and like some herbs and stuff like that. And this made me look, because I usually don't look, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull it out, you guys. So this is a smart cup that he put in here for your herbs. So it can like play with the temperature or something. I kind of was just reading it real quick because I've never seen anything like that, but for your herbs, so you can make your teas. Perfect for you. Perfect for you.
Organic.
Yes.
Big up Roots Organic.
And then of course he has the ginseng roots drink. Is it Tiger Bone with Tiger Bone tonic on it. Yes. So this is Roots Organics family. The presentation, his wrapping is so beautiful.
Nice.
And so nice. And then Perfect Tree, my main sponsor. Here you go. You could put that to the side.
Give thanks. Coconuts.
Perfect tree. I called him, I was like, listen, this is a Rasta man.
Neat.
So you have to be specific in what.
Perfect.
I was specific in what the box is. Again, I didn't open the box, but I specifically told him what to put it. You could kind of smell it. So I was like, none of the new age stuff.
Yeah.
This is straight.
What is it?
You could open it. Open it and see.
Nits.
As you
Nitsu, come here, mama.
Our daughter. So if you didn't notice by now, this is my daughter's father. This is why I know all this stuff. Here's our daughter.
Nits. Come open this new age
I don't think she should open it.
Eh?
I don't think she should be opening it. But like, this is our daughter. Her name is Nitsu. And so, by the way, Nitsu Lib means pure heart. He found it in the Bible. I was just going to name her heart. You could start opening it while I say the story.
This is the pure in heart.
Yeah, so I was going to name her heart, and I was like, Lib, doesn't matter. I don't care if people make fun of her. Lib is the heart. This is what it is. And then he calls me. He goes into the Amharic Bible, and he calls me, and he's like, Nitsu. And I'm like, I love it. This is what it is. And so Nitsu, Lib, our daughter, and it's so fun raising her. I'm so happy that she is here. I am so happy that Ras Abuna is Nitsu's father, because we get to raise her right, homeschooling, also grassroots, vegan baby, all of it.
Wow.
So say hi, and then you can go back, because she's gonna. What did you learn? Is there anything that you learned? What was your favorite part?
Math.
The math? No, here with your dad. What was he saying that you liked? Was there anything? Were you paying attention? It's okay. You hear this all the time. You hear this all the time.
Let's flick
so
and
go
chill.
back over there.
Whoa, I got all kind of goody stuff here. Thanks, Bob. Thanks.
Perfect tree.
Perfect tree.
Yeah, these are all stuff that we
Give thanks,
could
perfect tree.
definitely
Big up
enjoy.
yourself. Give thanks for the gifts. Always a pleasure. and Roots Organics.
Roots Organics.
Give thanks.
Yes.
Give thanks. It was a pleasure, indeed, one that I cannot measure. And Fab, always nice reasoning with you and
Give thanks. You taught me what reasoning even means.
Yes.
You taught me that.
we said this is the 5th episode.
This is the 5th one. 5th is a good
Wow.
number. That's
Yeah.
my number. October 5th is my birthday.
Yeah, and you taught me also about the hand of Fatima.
Oh,
5.
yeah. 5.
And
Yes.
you know, in Ethiopia, the number 5 is Hamsa.
And it's called Hamsa. The Hamsa.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
That's what
wow.
I'm saying. Hamsa, the number 5 is Hamsa. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it all goes together. It all
Yeah.
goes together.
Yeah, give thanks,
Rastaman, give thanks.
My
More
pleasure.
to come.
My pleasure.
September 11th is the Ethiopian New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Happy African New Year. This is a celebration for all of us. And research it so you can really, really understand what this day is about. I know it overshadows the September 11th. I feel like it was purposely done.
Yeah, of course.
They overshadow it.
You know that.
And so, but remember what this day really, really means, and history and foundation and roots, taking back ancient. I always say there's people who don't believe in the Bible and they believe in science. If you go to science, science talks about this flood, the same flood that's spoken about in here. All the other religions go back to the Bible, the Quran, everything goes back to.
You cannot go around it.
You can't go around it. So this is, prophecy also, because if we go to Revelations
Prophecy,
now, I'm
history.
like, this is what's happening right now.
Yes.
History, prophecy, all of it is happening in this if you decipher it right.
But again, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Everyone has a part to play within the fullness, but the favorable part, it's not for everyone.
Wow.
So it's not everyone that's gonna love this. So
I know everybody in here loves it.
it was such a great pleasure being here, though, Fab, and I cannot say how much of joy and fun I had. It was nice reasoning with you, and
Yes, Rasta.
every time we reason, though, I feel like I learn more, and I've always had to prepare because you ask the tough questions. You don't let me just get with stuff. So again, give thanks, and I love your crew. I love
Erase
support
the hate.
team that you have, very
Yes.
professional.
Very,
I love
very
the setting. So
best thing that's ever happened to me. The whole entire crew of Erase the Hate has literally transformed my whole entire presentation, what I'm doing. Every time I'm like, but wait, it's just they got it together every
Yes.
time. Like, I don't have to think as much because an OD, straight up, like, I love you. Like, she's in the background just
I never
making
sweat,
all
and
of
there's
this.
nothing
Yes.
cool in here. It's not cold in
I'm
here.
a little
and I
cold.
never sweat. I like the environment, you know. So
Yes. So give thanks, erase the hate. I love you. And so September 11th, happy Ethiopian New Year, happy African New Year. We have a couple more episodes before the New Year. And we're going to introduce it January 11th, which is called Highest Frequency, an event that I do. So more to come, more information, more topics. Give thanks, family. I hope you learned something. This is history in the best way possible.
Happy New Year.
Yes. Cheers.
Give thanks.